Hello, lovely people. Thank you for joining us. I am Chidi Akunna.
And I am Victor Akunna.
Hey, if you're new to our channel, Foundation for Family Affairs, please subscribe and turn on the bell next to it so you're notified when we drop our content. And to every returning subscriber, I would like to say thank you for engaging with us again and again. Yes, so today we've come your way with something really interesting. We've had a number of questions sent to us, and we will be bringing them out bit by bit. So you want to stay tuned, right? So this one has come from someone who's asked, how do we handle pressures that rock the boat in marriage? How to handle pressures that rock the boat in marriage? And I'm thinking about it. I mean, it's inevitable. You're going to have those pressures. Inevitable. Okay, so sometimes you see things like peculiar pressures would be from having children, maybe having them actually or delaying having them. Okay, finances, you want to say some work commitment,
yes,
or reasonable behavior. One person just chooses to do something that is unacceptable. Okay, or transition
sometimes is also in-laws, managing issues with in-laws. There are different sources. Your own problem might be different from ours. Your own challenges may be different from ours. So we've identified some of these pressures, and then we'll be looking at how some of them who have gone through, for example, transition. Waiting for our first child in I think for almost 8 years, we have also experienced that. So how did we handle this pressure? Financial pressure, we have also experienced that. So we'll be sharing from our own experiences and some of the things that other people have shared with us.
Okay, so thinking about it, I mean, we've come to realize that it's about how you go through it. What's your approach to this? Because we've seen different approaches. Okay, some people, we can't ignore the fact that some people decide to take the flight mode or the fight mode. Okay, and things just go south. Okay, but we have come up with two approaches, two ways we think this can be approached.
So one of the key ways that we looked at how it can be approached is reactive. All right, if you break the word down, reaction, all right, reactive. When this is a situation whereby without you really, when you react or you take action based on impulse. All right, so for example, there's a financial issue on ground, and the first is the fears about not having, maybe you grew up in a home where you guys were always behind on bills. If you had that experience, it's an experience that can scar you as a child without knowing that you are taking these experiences into adulthood. So you come to that experience to adulthood. Now you are married, and then your financial personality may be the personality of what we call a monk. Someone who's trying to hold resources as much as possible for the rainy day. They don't even spend on themselves. They don't spend on anything. Why? Because they are trying to prevent that experience from reoccurring. Then you have a spouse that lives life, that loves to shop. YOLO. They believe that you only live once. All right. They love to shop. They love to have a nice time. And so, without discussing with you, and they just make some very big ticket purchases that can trigger a certain reaction in you, and then you just go at them, all right, without thinking. That's an example of a reactionary approach. So there's another approach that we've seen that people use, is what we call
the
proactive approach. All right, pro means for, all right, for action. So it's a situation whereby you ask, okay, this has happened. Going forward, how can we address this? Or this has happened in other people's marriages. How can we be sure? How can we handle this? Or how will we manage this? Or how can we prevent this? That's you thinking ahead. That's being proactive. People that are more proactive, they are more relaxed. They have less conflict that go out of hand. Why? Because they can foresee it. All right. They said a wise person will see danger and dodge and prevent it. All right. A wise person. In other words, being proactive is a wiser way of handling conflict. And so that's one of the two key approaches that we've seen that people handle.
And we recommend proactive approach. We're very big on that. Because this is where spouses can even sit down to preempt situations. Right? We did that at the start of our relationship. Okay, so if this were to happen, if an in-law walks in on us, like uninformed, without pre-informing us, what do we do? How do we handle that? That way it lessens the pressure on you at that time. So you're better prepared to manage that event.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Fantastic. Another way where we were able to do that was when we were both studying and we were saying, how can we support each other? That was the time my wife was studying and said, okay, what kind of needs will she have? I was there. That was the time I was studying. What kind of need will I have? There were a lot of sacrifices. Those times could have really been have a very negative impact on our relationship if we did not, think ahead and really say, what will this person need and how can I be there for them? Because it's the problem. What we're trying to emphasize is the problem is not the issue. The problem is our thinking and our actions. All right. What I'm saying that is some people, different couples will go through similar thing, but their reaction will be different and the outcomes will be different. Some people it makes them closer, some people it drives them apart. So the problem is not the issue, it's how we are thinking and handling the issue. So we are here to emphasize or to discuss with you the different ways people handle the issue and tell you which way we've seen produces the best outcomes.
Okay, so we'll suggest some perspectives that we think will definitely help you manage this. It worked for us, and so we know it would work for any other marriage out there. And the first is we've tried to categorize them into 5 A's to help you remember. And the first is you need to acquire knowledge. Acquire knowledge. We must get to that point where we realize just how important it is to be knowledgeable. Okay, you need to get to that point where you want to know. If you're making, like the example he gave earlier about, okay, you'll be studying as a couple. One of you has decided, I would like to go for some professional courses. Now, you need to acquire knowledge as to how to navigate that phase of life. Okay, so it's with knowledge you'll be empowered. You're better able to manage that situation. With knowledge you'll be able to realize, to have an understanding of what the person who will be studying will be going through. So you are able to manage the things that will be happening ongoing to the family when this person is not available to give his input, his or her input.
Another way where we also acquired knowledge was financial knowledge. For example, if you are married, the money issues will come up. I've heard different coaches say that there are 3 things that often cause issues in a relationship. They say one is sex, the other one is money, and some people say in-laws. All right, some people vary. But I think one common theme that you can see in all of them is communication. And people's thinking about the issue. That's one key thing. So the problem is not the money, the problem is how people are thinking about money. All right, so for example, you have someone who thinks that the money is for the family so I can disburse, and somebody else is thinking, so the money I earn is for me, the money that you earn is for us. That is potential conflict. The problem is not the money issue, the problem is how they are thinking about the money issue. So one person is thinking as an individual, one person is thinking communal. So there is a variance in values. All right, so where people are able to see the variance and they're like, okay, you know what, as a couple, what do we want for our own relationship? And now they are beginning to get information. For example, when I was reading about money, I found out that we actually hear about different personalities, 4 different personalities: the phlegmatic, the choleric, the melancholy, and there's one more, the sanguine. All right, money. People also have money personalities. All right, so we have the monk, from the word monk, the monastery, they just sit, they live in very small resources. You see such people, they are multi-millionaires, but they live such simple lives. All right, they drive one car for a long time. I would say Warren Buffett is a monk. Why? Because he's very wealthy. He drives the same car, he lives in the same house I've been living for the past 40 years. One house, he drives one, he doesn't drive a fancy car, very conservative. And he has told his children, I'm not going to leave a dime to any of you. So that's an example of a monk. All right, so, and then there are some other personality, hoarders, savers, spenders. All right. So when I found out I started thinking, where do I fall and where does she fall? All right. So with that knowledge, you'll be able to say, okay, you know what? This is you. This is you. Okay. So let's create a vision. I'm not trying to change you to become me because my experiences are not yours and her experiences are not mine. So the aim is not to change her. The aim is now for us to now create a vision. By a vision, I mean, how do we want our finances to look like in the next 5 years? We had that the conversation while we were single. We had that conversation many times. And that has really helped us to align. So that's one key way of getting knowledge. So knowledge can be on specific issue that you guys keep having this disagreement about. Read about it. Have other perspectives, so that your reaction, you move from reaction to being proactive, reactive to being proactive.
And that way you're able to align your values on that issue, on that subject.
That's right.
Yes, very important. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one, the next A we have for you is you need to avoid negative attitude. Negative attitude. Now, especially when you're trying to, well, the pressure is on. It's here. The last thing you want to be doing is probably blaming the other for what may be happening. Okay, in marriage, like they say, you never say always or never. You never do this. You always do this. Okay, so we need to get to that point where we adopt positive attitude. We'll be telling you about that in a minute. But talking about negative attitudes, we have blaming, we have talking in an accusatory way, okay? Or you come across controlling. You want to control the other because yes, things are getting out of hand. And sometimes these things just happen because you're under pressure, don't forget. So you kind of are not your normal self, the way you would normally behave. So you find yourself behaving in a way you shouldn't be. Really, in a marriage. Okay, marriage is not. Nobody should be subservient in marriage.
Absolutely.
Okay, there are two individuals who are here together to flourish. So it's an interdependent relationship. So the other person matters. So you should. Nobody should come across controlling. Oh, okay, accusatory. You want to give some other examples?
Yes. Well, what I was thinking while you were talking is the thing about blaming is when someone blames me, if the person pushes the responsibility on me.
Yes,
so for example, maybe somebody, one of us spent that's impacted our ability to meet the bills. And instead of us thinking about the solution on ground, you're saying, if you didn't do this, if you had consulted with me, of course it's okay if you say that the first time, and then you keep on going. What you are doing is that you are shifting the energy in the room. You are shifting the responsibility, not responsibility. You are shifting the energy, and that will move you to a non-resourceful state.
Yes.
Because for you to solve a problem, I think what Francis Bacon that says, for us to solve a problem, we have to think in a different dimension than when we were thinking when we created the problem. So for you to, if you are in a critical mode, that's not a resourceful state. You need to shift yourself to a productive state where you can be able to create solution.
Some people shut down too.
Yes.
Okay, it's happened, and then we shut down.
Yeah.
So what we're encouraging is think solution.
Think solution.
Yes.
Discuss with each other, and when you blame, you rather than blaming, help the other person to know we are in this together. So, for example, when we were trusting God for a child, I didn't go to say, the issue is her, or she didn't say the issue. Well, in our own case, it couldn't have even come up because we ran tests and nobody had a problem. All right. So, but there are some spouses that can go after their spouse and be like, oh, who knows the kind of life you led as a younger girl. You know the kind of how promiscuous you were as a man. And those are not resourceful states.
Yes.
They don't create resourceful states. And when they create a set of energy where people cannot be vulnerable, and when people are not vulnerable, they cannot disclose. You cannot get the best out of them because they are always guarded. All right, it's okay if you are guarded with other people outside, but not your own spouse.
Yes.
All right, so there are different issues like that. It can be on money. It can be on. Some people are they have a weakness when it comes to their in-laws, and so the moment somebody calls, you just take action, and so that creates a certain level of pressure on the relationship, and the spouse can be like, you're always like this. Anytime your sister calls, anytime your brother calls, you don't want that kind of energy. No, that's not productive. All right, so what we're trying to say is that create a situation by both of you see each other as we are in this together. Don't let your spouse feel alienated. all right, that will not be a resourceful state.
Yeah, so the approach we're encouraging you to adopt here, the attitude we're encouraging you to adopt is that of a team.
Yes.
TEAM. Okay, together everyone achieves more.
Yeah.
So it's not about one person feeling left out, one person living in anxiety because the he or she is not sure what the other would do. Okay, so we need to get to that point where we adopt that. Another bad negative attitude may be that one person decides to walk out. Okay, you just leave the house and you leave for days and you think it's okay. You leave because the pressure is on and you come back when you feel okay. No.
Some people even leave the marriage. You heard stories of men who just woke up one day and they just left. Nobody knew where they were. Until the children became mature, they now started coming back. Trying to play the father role.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Really sad. Really sad. No, okay. So the next A we would like you to consider is agreement. You need to agree. You want to shoot.
Yeah. So one like in business, how people think about it is creating policies. So in a situation whereby something has happened, there is something my wife used to say. You know what? She learned from, I think, a mentor or somebody with, close to her, and she said something. She said the guy will always emphasize the problem has happened. Let's think solution. Let's think solution. Right. And we have adopted that as a mantra in our house. Yes. It has happened. Okay, so now what's the solution?
Yes.
So that way, everybody forgets who is to blame, and they now begin to think about the solution. Now, why this example is important is after you solve the problem, you now come up with an agreement to say, going forward, so let's say the issue was somebody bought something that they were not supposed to buy, or someone sent money to someone they were not supposed to send money to. The problem has been there. That's fine. Okay, so now going forward, what do we do to ensure that this doesn't repeat itself again? So you come up with an agreement. So an agreement is, okay, going forward, I will never send money to anybody without discussing with my spouse. All right, so because it's not my money, it's our money. And
depending on what's obtainable in that relationship.
Yes. Well, depending on what's obtainable, yes. But I'm trying to give an example of, where you can, what I mean by an agreement, so that you can now apply it to your own specific circumstance.
Exactly.
So an agreement is, we have agreed that this is how we're not going to do this going forward. And so everybody knows that this is what we have agreed. That is so powerful because it helps you to come to that point where you can trust your spouse. You know that your spouse will not violate this agreement. It's rather than you trying to be suspicious anytime, I'm on the phone with somebody, say like, oh, I don't know whether it's going to. So you don't need to worry because I've already said I am not going to do this again. If committed, it gives your spouse a peace of mind. It gives you as well not feeling like somebody is always watching over your shoulders. You don't want that. I'm just using an example so you'll be able to understand what we mean by an agreement. Sometimes the agreement can be between father and the son. All right, we've said that no more playing of video game for this number of hours. You have to do X, Y, Z. And your child agrees, and you both agree that, okay, you only get to watch your YouTube channel after you've done your assignment. That's an agreement. And so it's gradually, once you have that established, you create boundaries where people know that, okay, I don't cross here, I don't cross here. All right, so that's what we mean by an agreement. So you can now look at it and now say, within your own relation. I remember I was listening to, I think it was somebody I really look up to. I think his name is Fela Durotoye. And he was talking about the early part of their marriage. He was into consulting, and his wife, both of them came from broken home, and they told themselves they are going to build something different from what their parents did. All right. And so one particular situation, there was a particular lady that was kind of liking him, and then he came to that point where the wife was kind of complaining about it, and then he said something. He just picked up a call and then just told the lady. I think the lady was trying to maybe have a meeting with him outside work hours. He just called while she was there and said, sorry, please don't call me at this time again. Anything you want to discuss with me, discuss it at the office. And so that was his own approach. I would not have followed that approach, but he knew the insecurity she had from where she's coming from, and so he needed to follow that approach. All right, so that's why we're saying that what we are sharing here is the principle. The approach will be different. The application will be different based on where your spouse is and based on what you both are as a couple.
Yeah, and I think that just leads us on to the next A, which is you need to assure your spouse of your commitment.
Yes.
Assure your spouse of your commitment. So, like the example you gave, that was assuring the spouse. We've agreed on this, and this is me committing to it. Nothing's gonna shake it, right? Because people need to know. It's okay to say it, but they need to say it as well. Okay, your behavior should show it. Everything. So when you get to that point where an agreement has been made, how you assure your spouses, especially through your action. All right, okay, I will be there for you. We are a team. Nothing's gonna break this. Okay, but I need to see it. Do you crack when the pressure is on? Right, you need to rise up to the game. Yes.
Some people make agreements, but when the pressure is on, they default. Yes. And that's not good for your intimacy. It's better not to make an agreement than to make an agreement and not to keep it. All right. So because your spouse is counting on you to honor that agreement, your spouse it's a matter of integrity. And if the person you've sworn to live the rest of your life with cannot trust you, you don't have a relationship, really. Because without trust, you don't have a relationship. You just have a bunch of people who are business partners, right? Because they have a common interest, maybe their children or something that they're doing.
Business partners should trust
themselves. They should trust each other, actually. All right? They should trust each other. Yes. Without it, it's going to be a very painful experience to live with someone that don't trust you or that you don't trust. You have to constantly be second-guessing their motives. You have to be checking fact-checking everything they say. You have to snoop through their file, their email, their phones, because you're just looking for something to confirm your fears or to disprove them, as the case may be. All right, so that's not a good place to be. Another way where you can assure your spouse is having fun together, play. All right, there is something about play that helps to bind people's hearts together. Playing. People want to go to where they have fun. People want to go to where they enjoy. That's why you have some people that the moment you see their phone numbers calling, you be like, I don't want another argument. Because you just know that for some reason, the energy between the two of you doesn't just work out. All right. I'm not saying you are blaming one person, but there are some people that you just know that your energy frequency is not just aligned. And so maybe you guys have not let go of something that happened in the past. So that issue keep recoloring your present action or interaction with the person. So it's very good for you guys to find time to play with your spouse. It helps you guys to connect. Another thing that helps people to connect is what do you call it now? Sharing your fears, your aspirations, your concerns with your spouse. When people are vulnerable, they get to connect. All right. So why is this important? You can't resolve. Remember, our focus is how to, potential issues that can rock the boat in marriage. If you don't have intimacy with someone, if something comes at your relationship, you are likely to crumble. So intimacy helps you guys to weather many storms. That's why you see when the team gets a new coach, the first thing they want to get all the experts, all the professionals to work together. They need to get them to party, do birthday parties together. They want to create that chemistry first before they put them on the pitch. If you put them on the pitch, people will be thinking individually, I want to score, I want to be the highest goal scorer. But once you've created that dynamism, that energy, that interaction that people see each other as a member of a team, like she said, it's easier for you to weather any storm. And that's one key thing that's helped us. We've gone through a lot of stuff. There's a time that, that she wasn't earning or I wasn't earning, and it put a lot of pressure on our relationship. And so without that kind of connection, it's something that's going to happen to you that you could just notice yourself that you won't be able to handle that pressure. All right. So, but when you know that there is a connection and that you guys are together, it really helps you guys to stay afloat.
Yes. Okay. Something I wanted to point out when we were talking about agreements, it just came to me, is at some point in reaching that agreement, you're going to have to compromise. Okay. And that's where they will tell you, don't sweat the small stuff, right? You can't be so stringent, like holding on to things that don't matter. An example, when we started, one of the examples we gave was work commitment for some things that an example of what could put pressure on your marriage, right? Work commitment. Now, in a case like that, you're trying to reach an agreement, and both persons stay stuck to the fact that we're both doing long hours here, and our children are suffering. Hey, at some point, in reaching an agreement, you need to one or two parties may need to compromise. Okay, what can I let go? What can I do? Flexi time. What adjustments do we need to make to achieve the vision, like he was saying? That's very, very important. Okay.
Because sometimes you might make an agreement and life may present a different dimension. You shouldn't hold on to that to be like, oh, you said you will always be there. For example, another example I wanted to bring was what we normally do. We often shop together, we often do a lot of stuff together, but it came to that point where my wife needed to study. It wasn't possible, so I picked up all those responsibilities. There was a time that I was doing the studying, and she was picking up a lot of the responsibility, doing the shopping, doing the cleaning, doing everything. And so in that situation, we had to, even though we have agreed that we'll do things together because it helps us to even bond, it helps us to connect, eating together and all that. But at that point, we needed to be flexible. Without it, it would have been very difficult to cope with those moments.
Okay, so the last A we have for you is you need to attend to your emotional and mental health. Very key. Self-care. We can't overemphasize this one.
I like how you put it, self-care.
Because pressure would put that. All of these things we have highlighted will put a lot of pressure on your marriage. Okay, but you need to get to that point where you realize that if you are not functioning well, then the marriage could crack.
It's very important, right? Because the person, like we like to say, it is who you are that you bring into the relationship. If you are in that state where the pressure is so high, mental pressure of deadlines that you are missing, things that are not going well, you're not even happy with yourself, your relationship with God is not in the right place, your relationship with your spouse is not in the right place, your relationship with your in-laws or people who are not in the right place, and things are just falling apart around you. You can't be the best spouse. You cannot. It's not possible. So you have to get to that point where you protect your mental health. How do different people have different ways? Sometimes for me, I need to have a very good sleep. If I am not rested well, it's going to affect me. It doesn't mean I sleep for 24 hours, but just that I need to sleep at a certain time because I'm a very early riser. I wake up around 4 or 5. All right, so I have to sleep at a certain time. All right, so another thing for some people, it's another thing that does it for me is when I spend time worshiping and spend time in God's presence. That's a way it refreshes my heart and helps me to answer a lot of questions, that are just going up there. So everybody have different ways where they can help themselves to unwind. For some people, it's going on vacation. For some people, it's seeing a lovely movie. For some people, coming home to a beautiful wife. Different things work for different people. All right, so find what works for you, and also give yourself a good time, me time, where you can just connect and be quiet and just recharge yourself. All right, very important for you. If you are not well rested, it can impact your capacity. It can shift your state and put you in a non-resourceful state, where you'll be able to solve real problems.
Okay. So at the end of the day, what matters is that we realize that we're a team, and we must consistently ensure that we strengthen the intimacy between us. All right. So don't let pressure get in. All right. Anything that can rock your boat is out there. Okay. Nothing can rock your boat if both of you realize that hey, we are in this together. Water ain't coming in. We can't let it come in. Okay, so keep the pressure out there. Don't let it come in, and then you will not sink. Definitely.
Fantastic. The issue is not the issue; it's how we're handling the issue.
Okay, so we have some things we'll be rolling out. So you want to stay tuned to this channel. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe.
What are you waiting for?
Turn the bell next to it so you're notified when we drop our content. Right, until we come your way again, it's goodbye from us.
Bye.